contraband sugar. Because even before this report was brought to Parliament, 2 weeks earlier, you had called a press conference alongside the likes of Hon Koinange, the MP, to what this committee was doing. What were your reservations against the committee?
Investigating about contraband, sometimes in the month of State House, members of different departments in the House to come and listen what KEPSA were talking. And KEPSA had several concerns. And concerns that touch my Department of Administration and National Security. It is the issue of issuance of work permits and the issue of contraband. And when I came back to the House, I put in together my committee for national security, and we agreed that we will call the department together, different departments in the Ministry of Office of the President, and we did so. And we really wanted to investigate on the contraband because we didn't want to speculate. And it's a very serious to speculate, and it was going to take time before we get the right answers. You know, for quite some time, every time government takes their cases to judiciary, time with the new team we have from DCI and also work, and that is why my committee was very sugar, because we wanted to do a thorough investigation.
All right.
So we, thus far now, just doing the investigation, and we know, maybe I can tell you here, there are actually 3 types of sugar that were brought in the country. The sugar which were paid for, taxes were paid, and it entered the market. You can find them in the shelves. There's also sugar, contraband, that came, no taxes were paid, and no waiver were given for that sugar. And then there is a third sugar which was found to be contaminated, and the sugar that found Panya route through neighboring countries and ended up in our slums in Nairobi. And when it was tested, it was found to be having elements which were...
Following up on what you're saying, your committee on national security deals with the people who sit in these borders, particularly our officers, as well as, you know, immigration and stuff like that. But also, you know, the Kenya Revenue Authority. It may not fall under your committee, but most of the people who are tasked with manning our borders, even at the point of entry, this unregulated sugar was making, you know, way through our boundary between Kenya and Somalia. Have you sought answers on why this?
In the past, especially on the border, when goods are coming, especially contraband goods, they actually brought by cartels, cartels that have already know how to bring these commodities in the country. But of late, in border control, and we have also the DCI changing everything to make sure that when things are coming through the border, it is not only KRA that really get concerned about what is coming in the country, because it's also an issue of security, because other goods which come and they can be of security concern, then our security forces also must get involved to make sure not everything that comes in the country without the knowledge of the authority.
All right. In that press conference you did alongside Hon Koinange and also the MP Mwangi Gakuya, he was also present in that press conference. You alluded to the fact that this committee, the Trade and Agriculture Committee that was investigating this contraband sugar, was already compromised. What compromises were you talking about, and to what level?
Okay, this was actually mentioned by my counterpart Hon Koinange. That is the one, but on my part, on my committee, we could have not said that, because already We are still under the process of investigating, and we are doing very independently. And we don't want to speculate right now because it is very serious. And as I said, Curie, some of this contraband and other illegal gangs which we're investigating to make sure that goods do not just come in the country.
So it is likely that the proceeds of contraband sugar are being used to fund terrorism?
Very true. Yeah.
And you have been able to prove that through your investigations?
We have not gotten all the information, but what I can say, the route that the sugar comes from South America through other neighboring countries here, and the goods are sold, we are still investigating to know where that money ends when the money has been given after the supplies have been sold in Kenya.
All right. Let me ask you, because when you look back, obviously, at the investigations being done by the Trade and Agriculture Committee, did it give you a sigh of relief when the Speaker made his ruling last week on the nature of the report, and of course accusing the committee of doing a shoddy work? From where you sit as the chairperson of the National Security Committee, did it give you a sigh of relief that the Speaker had overruled this report?
Well, Curie, I'll say that, well, it was a sigh of relief, but for me, with my committee, we are still pursuing quite a number of things. And I can tell you, Kiri, it's not only an issue of sugar. Our country gets very much affected. And you know, it does not only affect the health of our people, it also affects the security of our people, because we do not know where this money goes. It also affects our farmers, because when sugar comes and our farmers are not able to sell their sugar, or they close their factory like Mumias and all that, the security of our people, farmers, is not taken care of. So I have a concern myself, mostly is about the security of my people. That is the security of health of our people, the security of the farmer, the security of our country, because who ends up with that money, which is sold the sugar.
The other question, obviously, you know, the concern, particularly amongst Kenyans, is on multiplicity of these investigations. The Security Committee is investigating contraband sugar. Trade and Agriculture, obviously they had to petition the Speaker, you know, for the Speaker to say there was no special committee to be formed. Rather, the departmental committees should investigate this. And there's a multiplicity of investigations that we are having. Are you concerned that Parliament is using too much time in, you know, engaging in all these investigations, when all of you could actually, you know, use one line and investigate, instead of your committee investigating, the other committee investigating, and the other?
You see, like my committee, like I've said, my concern is mostly purely security. Okay? The other committee, they may get concerned the issue of trade, okay? They may get concerned how the goods have come in the country, and that's up to them. But my committee, the key concern is the security. And you know something, Curie, when everything lands at the port of Mombasa and comes in the country, mostly it's no longer the other ministries. It's actually the office of the president, administration, and national security. Because when these things are taken to mashinani, to our dukas and all that, it's actually the chief and the other people who are knowing what is being sold. And if they're sold bad things, the first person who intervenes are the chiefs and the local administrators. And that's how administration, national security have to always open their eyes to see what is happening.
All right.
Yeah.
Of course, the other concern is informed by, you know, multiplicity of this from the fact that it has been revealed, and you have seen those reports being compromised by the witnesses they call up. And we have seen pictures of MPs getting cozy with people that appear before them who are actually importers of this contraband sugar. So could it be that the multiplicity of investigations, where you have this committee and this other investigating, is because of rent seeking?
You see, Curie, and I've said with you here before a number of times, my concern, I don't know whether anybody is being compromised, but I'll say my concern all the time as a leader is the issue of integrity. And I believe if we have integrity as leaders, then we have no problem to be serving the people of this country. Whether you're in any committee, you should be doing the job that you're supposed to do, because you don't get compromised very easily because you have integrity. But if you're not, then you have a problem.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your committee and what it is working on. In terms of the penalties, you're changing the law to deal with contraband goods and people who bring in contraband goods. What are the extent, or rather, what is to what extent are you changing the law, and what are the punitive and deterrent issues that you're putting in the
Thank you, Kiri. You see, we have him the other day, and of course he pleaded for new laws to be put in place. And I can tell you there are two areas which are very sensitive, and is an area where the war is really big. It's the area of narcotics and the area of contraband. And Curie, you know, in the other places like Malaysia and Singapore, in order to fight the people who are getting involved, you just don't fight by penalizing them little amount of money. And I can tell you, like narcotics, we'll be traveling to Mombasa very soon to visit the area. And I can tell you, from 500,000 that you get a penalty, we are going to put it up to 30 million. And also at the same time, we'll make sure all the properties you have gotten through the wealth of narcotics, you have to lose it. You have to forfeit it. And further to that, we will say that you can no longer in your lifetime serve in any public office, because if you serve a public office, you go back to the same business to do what you have been doing. So we will make sure that the law will make it a stop for you not to do that company
the business of narcotics.
Yes, and the same thing with that if you have gotten that is you taken to court, of course we will follow the process. And that's what I'm saying. We are doing a lot of investigation and we don't want to speculate. And once you're taken to court and you're found guilty, we'll make sure you're penalized, you lose all the properties that you have gotten through the illicit wealth, and also at the same time, you don't hold a public office. Because if you hold a public office,
how much money are we looking at? Because you're talking about the seizure of property.
We are talking a penalty will go up to 30 million, as opposed to what we used to have 500,000 shillings. It's not good for somebody who talks of millions when you're dealing with drugs or you're dealing with contraband.
So when you are convicted in a court of law, the automatic fine in the proposals you're having is that one will be fined 30 million.
That's right.
A seizure of their property.
Exactly.
As well as being barred from ever holding public office.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Obviously, the big question tonight, before I can engage Mheshimiwa on this conversation, is really on the arrest of and prosecution of Governor Sospita Ojamong. The Council of Governors believe that this was a political gimmick or a political war. Rather, it was not a legal question. Therefore, we were asking you tonight, do you believe or do you think that the arrest and prosecution of Sospita Ojamong, the Busia governor, is political? Do you believe the arrest of Busia governor Sospita right on your screen? You can continue speaking to us. 22162 is our SMS line. On Twitter at KBC Channel 1, at J Kuria, and at Kato Achenga. Mheshimiwa, you talk about the good job that the DPP is doing, Nuruddin Haji, as well as Kinoti, George Kinoti, the DCI, the head of the DCI. But we have seen now the Council of Governors fighting back and saying, you know what, this is a political war rather than, a legal question, as regards the accountability, bringing the governor to accountability. Do you believe that politics has crept into the war against graft?
I don't believe so. Curie, you see, when you are joining a political party, and you want to become either a governor or you want to become a senator, you want to become a member of parliament, there's a process that you go through. And the process you go through, you have to declare according to the ethics and the corruption papers that are given. And meaning that you know very well when you become a member of parliament, you not get involved in corrupt deals, no bribery, and that's it. But I have realized most of the people, once they get into a problem, and you know this has been there, you say because of my tribe, you say because of my political alliances, you say it is political, it is trying to hit back at me, but that's not true. We are simply fighting corruption.
All right.
And you can see right now, Curie, we have a lot of support. You can see what Swiss is doing, is supporting us to fight corruption. And that means we are not going to relent. We'll fight with corruption up to the end. Because
hold that so that we listen to one up sound there by Governor Joseph Ndung'u, the chairperson of the Council of Governors, because that's what I want us to close with. Mugo, if I could just have that up sound by Ndung'u very quickly.
Alleged loss of county funds, over 10 governors held a closed meeting at councils.
Rather unfortunate that the national government is trying to avert attention from what is happening within the ministries, departments and agencies. The issue of sugar is something we should be discussing. The disappearance of NIS money is something we should be scrutinizing seriously. It is mischievous to call the media and publicly arrest a governor so that the public can forget about the rot in national government ministries, departments and agencies. This fight cannot be politicized and cannot be used selectively to target specific officers.
That's the governor, Joseph Ndung'u, the chairperson of the Council of Governors, alleging that indeed it is the national government trying to divert attention from the myriad of scandals hitting or rocking the national government and diverting it to governors for political reasons. Do you believe that is possible?
I don't. You remember when we were sitting, I said the biggest problem we are having, even with leaders and governors, is the issue of transparency and accountability and integrity. And this is still the problem. And let me say, anybody who thinks that fighting with the corruption is fighting with individuals, politicians, and fighting with who, what they are saying or the message they are giving us, they are giving the message that they are fighting against the people of this republic.
All right.
Because it's the people of republic who are really concerned more than anybody else. And the president, I believe, he has more support from all the people of this country. Because all of us, we want to make a change. And the only change can come, it will come and is very painful.
Right.
So I think every leader should accept it, that this is a change going to come. It will rub wrongly to some other people, but this change must come and corruption must be fought with.
Final question. The governor there, Joseph Ndung'u, made an allegation that as long as governors are in office, the constitution does, or the law does not foresee a situation where a governor in office can be charged in a court of law. Does the law foresee such a situation?
No. Everybody is under the law, let me tell you, Kiri. And it is very clear in the laws for ethics anti-corruption. You can charge anybody. Anybody can charge them. So they cannot say that because they're in their offices, they cannot be charged. If that is the case, all of us will stay put in the office and take public money.
But one will argue they have chief executive officers who are in charge of this specific departments, and you cannot charge the governor directly.
No, and that is what we have been saying. We need integrity with the leaders, because they are the people who are giving the directions as the governors.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wind up this conversation. And thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for joining us. And we wish you all the best. You will be doing. We'll be going
to a trip to Mombasa, Nyali. Yeah. About drug narcotic.
Yeah.
We'll be there to visit mothers who their children have gotten into drugs, and I'll be happy if you can join us and we see what is happening in Nyali and most of the coast area.
Right.
And because we want to fight drug barons in the country, because we believe we can also win that war.
All right.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best, and obviously, we'll be sure to follow up on you towards in Nyali. Obviously, that part of Coast as well as Kisauni are the most affected in terms of the consumption of hard drugs, and it can only be, fair to get to the bottom of this. Before we head to business, thousands of mourners stand up at